What's going on, Dumb Nation? Do me a favor. In order to keep the word getting out, moving out, and ensuring people get a chance to watch the show, do me a favor. Hit the share, like, and subscribe button. It would mean a great deal. I know every video you listen to and watch asks for that, and it kind of becomes the point where we get annoyed. But there's a reason why creators do it, is because it takes a lot of time to make these videos, and it takes a lot of effort, and we would appreciate it if you could share the message. Bud Light just came out with another commercial. And I remember as a kid how fantastic Bud Light commercials were. And I remember the marketing, and I did a show on this last week. And this will be a little bit of a different take, but similar, is that I love those commercials. I love during the Super Bowl where they would have the Bud Bowl and it'd be Budweiser versus Bud Light, and the less filling tastes great from Miller, and the Twins, and all of those commercials were fantastic. And it honestly didn't really want me to get to drink beer because I had a few pulls off my dad's beer whenever we went to the deli, or he would get a Lowenbrow or whatever. And I just always enjoyed watching the commercials, and these brands became iconic to me and synonymous with America. Apple pie, Don McLean, the New York Yankees before I woke up and realized I wasn't a Yankees fan, Dallas Cowboys, America's team, the red, white, and blue, support your veterans, stand for the flag, all of these things. And that patriotism kind of hit all of us at a young age. And I think if we all asked what made America America, somewhere in there, Budweiser would probably fall somewhere in the range of the top 250 or 100 or 50, depending upon your disposition, that Budweiser would fall into something that defines what America is, just one of the many things. And it's hard for me to, sit here and say, oh, well, let's have a national boycott of Budweiser, because I don't believe in boycotting, so to speak. I believe in there's two different types of protests when it comes to business. There's this cancel culture, which it happens on both sides, but predominantly left. And it's not about letting a company know by where you put your dollar how you feel about them. It's about doxing people, removing their ability to make an income, trying to destroy their reputation in an effort to silence them. That's cancel culture. When you want to talk about what is happening with Bud Light, nobody's trying to stop Bud Light from necessarily making a living. They're more than capable. What people are trying to do is send a message that we don't like your messaging, we don't like your marketing, and we don't like the direction of your company, because with all the sincerity in my heart, the only reason has nothing to do with LGBTQ. I'm sure there's some people out there who care about the rainbow flag and stuff, but that's been going on since 1970. Miller, Coors, Bud Light, predominantly Coors since 1970, has had a rainbow version of the Coors Light logo. I grew up in Golden, Colorado, and right outside in Lakewood, and I've been to the Coors plant many times, and it's always been about inclusivity and the gay and lesbian community in particular, and bisexual community, but not the transgender community, because it used to be LGB until they added 17 different letters and numbers onto it. But Coors has always been an avid supporter, and people drink Coors religiously. People drink Bud Light religiously, and they've had rainbow flags and LGBTQ support and pride and all that. That's not what it is. What happened all of a sudden? Well, what happened all of a sudden was twofold. And what you have is this movement inside the United States that is such a small and minuscule and tiny group of people when it comes to the transgender community, but should never be marginalized, because that's what we have in our republic, right? We don't have mob rule. It's not a democracy. It's a constitutional republic, which cares about the rights of the individuals and the laws set forth. So Dylan Mulvaney has every right, in my opinion, to be whomever Dylan Mulvaney wants to be. And if he wants to dress up like a woman and say he's a woman, he can do that. Just like if you want to go ahead and get on all fours and eat out of a bowl, you can say you're a dog. But the moment that you expect me to say you're a dog or say you're a woman, that's where people draw the line. And Dylan Mulvaney has been making a mockery of what women truly are. His understanding and his critique of what women are overly flamboyant, prepubescent, teenage bouncing Barbies that don't have a thought in their head and need to wear pigtails and jump up in hotel rooms and pretend they're 13 years old and flutter around while doing exercise like they're Richard Simmons on steroids. Folks, this is not what encompasses a woman. And yes, there's certainly women like that, but if we are going to do the critique on women and say this is what I believe reflects the true essence of a woman, it just shows the absolute delta between Dylan Mulvaney's psyche as what a woman is and who they truly are. So when Bud Light decided to send a can with his picture on it, what you have to understand is the symbology that's attached to it. The American flag, the Clydesdales, veterans, 9/11, all of these things are tied together and they're synonymous with Budweiser and Anheuser-Busch. The AB from Anheuser-Busch is cloaked in the American eagle. It's red, white, and blue for a reason. It is synonymous with the United States of America and patriotism. Whether you agree with that or not, it's the truth. And when you put Dylan Mulvaney on it and say Dylan Mulvaney believes he's a woman and is saying that he is a woman, people are going to be bothered by that, especially women. And if you don't know this, a lot of guys drink Bud Light. A lot of guys drink Budweiser. And when our women are pissed, we have to be pissed. Because without a happy wife, we don't have a happy life. And that's the way things work in a marriage. It's called compromise. And if my choice is to drink Bud Light and have my woman go, why are you supporting a company that believes that I don't exist anymore? I'm going to dump it down the frickin' sink and I'm going to go get another brand of beer. There's no greater proof that Budweiser knows it made a mistake as Budweiser has spent the last 2 weeks recutting a brand new ad. Now, this ad is fantastic. The imagery is beautiful. I'm a marketer. I'm a professional. And I would be hard-pressed to come up with something so creative and so perfect to exemplify what the United States stands for and what we are all about. The Clydesdale, powerful and strong, the sun shining, the matte finish on the video, the sounds, the narrator, it screams America. But here's the problem. If Budweiser truly felt this way, and they knew that this was their audience, and somebody decides to go ahead and send out and print and package Dylan Mulvaney on Bud Light, and then retract it by making this statement from the CEO, which is verbose and full of a lot of words, but doesn't necessarily own the situation. The written statement just digs the CEO and Anheuser-Busch deeper. This commercial is what people are going to see, and it's actually an insult. The statement was written for the people from the left who probably spend a lot more time being detail-orientated on this subject by waiting for a statement from the CEO to see how they're going to react, when the people who drink Bud Light, the actual consumer, probably don't give much of a damn about what the CEO has to say. They only care about their actions. And when you get a commercial, which is going to be played on every sporting event this weekend, including the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs, it's timed for that. If you don't think it is, you're insane. So they can go ahead and try to regain market share that they lost. Now, market share is a very important thing for all companies to gain it. And they spend millions upon millions of dollars in advertising to take 0.25% of market share from their competitors. By losing 3 to 3.5% of overall market share, Budweiser, no matter what you think, they felt the sting of this, and it's going to take time. And more importantly, on the front half of the year, in the first and second quarter, your earnings statements are going to be impacted because of this, predominantly the second quarter and the third quarter more than anything. This makes an impact. So when you use your voice through capitalism to say, I'm going to take my dollars somewhere else, it's not a protest. It's not a boycott. It's not that we want to see Anheuser-Busch go belly up, although some people probably do. Most of us want Anheuser-Busch to stay the hell out of politics and just provide a beer, if you can even call it a beer. We want to see the Clydesdales on the Christmas parade. We want to see the Budweiser blimp and the Bud Light blimp go over stadiums that we're giving our patronage and our loyalty and our hard-earned dollars to. We want to see it on our NASCAR as it drives around the track in the left-hand turn circuit. And occasionally, when we don't have any whiskey to drink, which I always have whiskey to drink, Horse Soldier, by the way, if you haven't had it, go get some, because real men drink whiskey. We may go ahead and drink a Bud Light, or in this case, a PBR, or Miller, or a Fat Tire, or anything other than Bud Light, because they have done one thing. They have alienated their demographic. We know why they have, because Bud Light felt, and the marketer, who I'm not even going to say her name, has decided to move on from my generation, move on from the boomers, move on from even the younger millennial or the older millennials in the audience. And the reason why is because these generations are falling off. And the new generation, the largest generation in the United States ever in history, will be Gen Z. And they are making a transition to become a softer, kinder, gentler Budweiser that cares about safe spaces and that everyone gives a trophy, and that we can pretend if you drink enough beer, you'll believe in rainbow-spotted unicorns and that Dylan Mulvaney is indeed a woman. Unfortunately, this commercial is an effort just to bring you back. And the NFL didn't learn this lesson when they went too far. And they endorsed things that we didn't. And it wasn't about Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. It was more about the other things that weren't allowed in the NFL. Pat Tillman celebrating the anniversary of his death, wearing 9/11 shoes, or thin blue line like this shirt, Back the Blue, on NFL gear, having a cross on the back of a helmet for a lost loved one or friend. These forms of peaceful protest or recognition to bring light to a situation so people can see were not accepted by the NFL. But you could put down Black Lives Matter. You could put down all of the token slogans on the back of your helmet and jerseys, but you couldn't celebrate what got the NFL where it is. And if you look at the logo, it's red, white, and blue with stars and stripes. It's not that we're sensitive. It's not that we're snowflakes. It's not that we're incapable of understanding and inclusivity. It's that we don't want you to fuck with America. We don't want you to fuck with the United States. Leave it alone. It's fine, and we believe it is great. It's been great. And if you don't like the United States, then you have the power to change that with your voice, with your dollar. If you don't like the way things are happening, then go ahead and speak up and say something. Don't sit down and be passive aggressive and try to take the rights of women and replace them on this planet simply because you identify as something you're not. We're sick and tired of the politics in our sports. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to see it in our movies. So if you can't understand why we are not going to listen to this commercial and then all of a sudden run back to Budweiser. There may be a time that we do, but it's certainly not when you pander to us like you pander to the left. We're smarter than that. We're braver than that. And we're Americans. Maybe you should try it and see how it feels. That's not just Budweiser. That's anybody who doesn't believe in this amazing country. God bless. Thanks for watching. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. Come back tonight. We're going to be live at 8 o'clock, and I may have a recorded show too. Talk to you soon. Oh, and Donald Trump Jr., I understand, man. I run a podcast. I say a lot of things. I write a lot of posts. I make mistakes too. So I'm going to let Don off the hook here. But Don, you might not want to let your mask slip with you saying we should stop the boycott, which is not a boycott, that we should give our money back to Budweiser because they pay a lot of money to Republicans in campaign donations. In fact, a 60-40 split. Brother, that's like you telling me to go ahead and vote for a Democrat because they vote 40% of the time with Republicans or 60% of the time with Republicans. Just because that helps your father financially doesn't mean we should compromise our values. It was a slip. I'm going to let you off the hook, but you do it again, and we might have to hold your feet to the flames like we did to Anheuser-Busch today. God bless. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time on the Don't Unfriend Me Show.